The colonel's voice thundered across the courtyard. "You call that a soldier? Look at her, barely holding formation." His finger stabbed through the air, landing squarely on my shoulder patch as if it carried the weight of every sneer behind him. The platoon went silent, all eyes on me. I kept my jaw locked, spine straight, refusing to let them see how hard my heart was pounding. Before we move further into this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear. Let's dive in. The recruits behind him chuckled, their smirks sharpened like knives. It wasn't the first time. I'd been dismissed before, not because of my performance, not because of my discipline, but because I was a woman standing in a uniform they thought belonged to someone else. The colonel's gaze narrowed. "Step forward, Sergeant. Tell me, what makes you think you belong in my line?" I wanted to answer. I wanted to fire back. But I swallowed it. Like I had every insult, every sideways glance, every bet whispered behind barracks doors about how long I'd last before breaking. The morning air was cold, biting, but the heat of humiliation burned through me. My silence seemed to prove their point. That was when he reached for my arm. The colonel's hand pulled my sleeve higher, forcing every eye to the chevron stitched into the fabric. He sneered. "You think stripes make you equal? That this patch puts you on my field?" And then it happened. His line of questioning stopped cold. His words faltered. His eyes locked on something sewn just above the stripes. He froze. That silence was louder than his shouting had been. Behind me, one of the recruits muttered, "Wait, what is that?" Yes, it was. The emblem that outranked theirs, that carried a weight they couldn't begin to understand. My patch wasn't just earned, it was paid for. Paid in sandstorms, sleepless nights, and scars I still carried under the uniform. The colonel's hand dropped, and his jaw tightened. He knew what it meant. He knew exactly where that patch came from. I wasn't always the one standing straight in uniform. Years before, I had been the one sitting on the edge of a bunk, clutching letters from home, fighting the urge to quit. I had been mocked, overlooked, underestimated. But war doesn't care about gender or whispers or who believes in you. War asks one question only: will you stand when everything inside you wants to fall? I remembered the desert heat baking my skin raw, the endless patrols that stripped us to nothing but bone and willpower. I remembered carrying brothers who fell, patching wounds in the chaos, holding radios with shaking hands while the sound of gunfire clawed at the night. And I remembered the day they pinned that patch on me, because I had stood when others couldn't, because I had chosen not to break. That was the story sewn into my shoulder, and it was stronger than the colonel's sneer. He cleared his throat, stepping back. His eyes darted across the line of recruits now staring at me, their smirks gone, replaced with something else. Shame. Respect. Maybe both. The colonel spoke again, but his voice had lost its edge. "This," he said, pointing once more, but softer now, "outranks yours." The line went stiff. The laughter died in their throats. For the first time, they looked at me not as an intruder, not as an exception, but as someone who had walked a path they hadn't yet earned the right to mock. I didn't gloat. I didn't smirk. I just stood there, eyes forward, shoulders squared. Because this wasn't about proving them wrong, it was about proving what was true. Later that night, one of the recruits who had laughed the loudest knocked quietly on my door. He didn't have to say much. Just a simple, "Sergeant, I didn't know." Respect. And that was enough, because respect isn't given by title. It isn't handed over by chance. It's carved into you by hardship, by sacrifice, by the moments no one else sees but everyone feels when you carry yourself differently afterward. That day, they stopped looking at my uniform and started looking at the soldier wearing it. And sometimes that's all any of us are asking for, to be seen for what we've carried, not for what others expect. So when you feel dismissed, when the world points at your shoulder and says you don't belong, remember, your scars, your battles, your resilience, they outrank every sneer, every doubt, every attempt to break you. Respect doesn't come from the loudest voice in the room, it comes from the quiet strength of those who refuse to bend when life tries to break them. And in that silence, when the colonel's line stopped, when the recruits bowed their heads, I realized something. You don't need to fight to prove your worth. Sometimes you just need to stand long enough for the truth to speak for itself. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know how you feel in the comments.